Mental health disorders like depression and anxiety are at an all-time high in our modern world, despite leaps in medicine and technology for ease of living. Research has shown that listening to or playing music have profoundly positive effects on mental well-being, memory, social environment, and stabilize emotional state. Within this video essay, the relationship between music, memory, emotion, and social environment has been analysed with the aim to better understand how people interact with their preference of music and its positive effects on the individual. Based on a review of the literature on music psychology and causes for musical preference, a random opportunity sample survey was conducted on the 14th of April 2022 in Cheltenham, England. Participants were questioned on what music they listened to and why. The results were then compared to the literature reviewed and explorations into music's positive effect on psyche, its uses as a therapeutic tool, both self and externally administered, and its profound effects in group settings. Analysis of the results indicate a parallel between music and a positive effect on mental health and social identity, sharing a commonality with the literature reviewed. Further research is needed to identify the reason behind the rise of mental health disorders and how music can treat and prevent them to a full extent without relapse. Technology has revolutionized the way we live our lives today. However, despite the technological advancements in medical science, entertainment, and ease of living, it is apparent we forgot to ask if we should before we could when applying these to our daily lives. As time passes, it has become apparent that we have developed our technology faster than we can adapt to it. Mental health issues like depression, stress, anxiety, and many other mental disorders have been on the rise since the invention of smartphones, tablets, and other addictive devices. Worse still, they have become of use to us in the work environments we find ourselves in, giving us an excuse to always carry them with us. Within our time period, people have been seeking escape from the trials and tribulations this new technological world has forced upon us. One of the positives that have come out of this has been a turn to music, made more accessible through technology. Within this video essay, we will be analysing the driving factors that affect individual preferences in music to better understand how we can keep a positive mental environment, or at the very least a therapeutic one, in today's world of technological marvels. Beginning with Isabelle Peretz and Robert Zator's work on page 310 of their book, The Cognitive Neuroscience of Music, quote, "Music is often referred to as the language of emotions," end quote, which clarifies a relation between emotional communication and music. In my own research conducted through the random opportunity samples, I found this statement to be correct. Many participants claimed they listened to music to relax. The type of music they listened to for this differed from the music they use when trying to become excited or driven. For example, many people who participate in exercise claim they listen to music with more driven tempos or upbeat music which help them stay motivated and focused on repetitive activities like running, walking, or weightlifting. Here are some examples.
So you usually listen to rap music?
Yeah, like stuff to get me hyped up really, like if I'm going to the gym or something, like get me in a good mood.
So you get pumped for it?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
This shows a direct correlation with music and people, using specific genres which amplify relaxing qualities for them personally. The same would be said for using music to, quote, get pumped. Interestingly, it was noticed that there was a correlation between the participant's situation and age, and what the results of their answers were. For example, those who are parents or older individuals in their 50s and 60s use certain music to grant them a nostalgic reaction. One older participant in the survey explained it helped them remember a time when they were happier and that it was what relaxed them because the music evoked memories of those times when they were younger.
I was wondering what you use that music for when you're listening to it. How do you use it?
Like cheer me up,
Cheer you up. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So it's sort of like a relaxant, something like something to help you.
Looking back at memories where certain songs take you right back where you are.
That's all right.
Certain times.
Oh, that's lovely.
On page 242 of Daniel Levitin's 2006 book, This Is Your Brain on Music, Levitin writes, quote, "The types of sounds, rhythms, and musical textures we find pleasing are generally extensions of previous positive experiences we've had with music in our lives," end quote. In the same page, Levitin writes, quote, "Our musical preferences are influenced by what we've experienced before," end quote. This supports what was thought about music's positive link with memory, affecting individuals' emotional state in a positive manner. There are many instances where music has been used as a therapeutic treatment for patients suffering from Alzheimer's, which is a form of progressive mental deterioration that can happen to middle-aged and elderly individuals due to brain deterioration. Suffering from dementia, which is the loss of cognitive function affecting thinking, remembering, and reasoning to such an extent that it can interfere with a person's daily life. Severe cases often mean individuals lose control of their emotions and their personality changes. Where those individuals struggle to remember people of significance in their lives, like partners or offspring, they remember songs they enjoyed listening to ages ago, earlier in life. Many treatments involve these people taking part in making music, which is said to boost their self-esteem and humanize many individuals who have lost basic communication skills like talking. This is apparent in videos found all over platforms like BBC, NJ News, CBS, YouTube and TikTok, where members and carers for dementia sufferers film and share the patients' reactions to songs they enjoy, and news agencies interview them. One recent and significant instance is Vicky McClure's Our Dementia Choir, which was highlighted on BBC News. In the 2003 book The Cognitive Neuroscience of Music on page 71, Peretz and Zator write about a hormone called oxytocin, which is famously referred to as the love hormone and is responsible for the feeling of love and protection felt between parents and their children when looking into each other's eyes or when embracing. It's produced in the hypothalamus, a gland in the brain that controls the hormone system, and is then released to the rest of the body through the bloodstream by the pituitary gland, which is a small gland at the base of the brain responsible for growth and metabolism, among other various bodily functions. Within the book, Peretz and Zator include the work of neurophysiologist Walter Freeman, who states that music is another cause of oxytocin's release, which has important repercussions for instances of peer group bonding and social identity. From neurophysiological research, oxytocin has been shown to act as an eraser that wipes out any memories from the past, whilst at the same time enabling the storage of new ones. When linked with significant life events, Peretz and Zator state that, quote, oxytocin is the cement that binds new memories, end quote. Using this whilst considering the context of Freeman's research, one could observe that a person would choose their favourite songs based on their social identity and experience within a group, due to the connection between music, group bonding, and social identity. An instance where this was significant was the punk era of the late 1970s, where the idea of what music should be was bucked. The dominant popular music at the time was 70s progressive rock, such as Queen, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, among other famous bands and artists. The emergence of the subculture punk gave way to the idea that anyone from any background could be a musician, even with simple training. This completely opposed the idea that music was inaccessible to those without a sophisticated background and training in the arts. Much of the characteristics of punk music consisted of loud, overdriven electric guitars, and with the vocalist singing or rather shouting politically driven, passionate and offensive lyrics. Due to the political unrest at the time, what with the 3-day week in the UK and the abject poverty and poor living conditions many working class people found themselves in, the emergence of the group identity known as punk was a cathartic way for people to protest at how the government at the time was failing the working class. As a cause of this, the music the group adopted became much more politicised, with evidence like the Sex Pistols' song Anarchy in the UK, released in the 1977 album Never Mind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols. The music was meant to be offensive in a demand for change and developed a cult following where people would wear clothes deemed offensive by including Nazi symbols and sexualised clothing. Bands for the genre chose their names with more vulgar language that evoked a certain reaction. For example, instead of Queen, the Slits, or the Sex Pistols. The more conservative Britain of the time found this movement extremely offensive as a result. As Dick Hebdige said in 1979 on page 123 of his paper, Subculture, The Meaning of Style, to shock is chic. The goal of the movement was to display the underbelly of Britain at the time, and how the upper and middle classes were treating and failing those beneath them in status. The ugly truth would be used to buck the classist nature of 1970s Britain. Peretz and Zator mentioned that because mood is infectious and music affects mood, music has a profound impact in group settings, which explains how the feelings of so many young people in the late 1970s were reciprocated by the punk genre and helped generate such a large following. Many people in the random opportunity sample found one of the main characteristics about the music they liked was how they felt the music was relatable to them personally, saying the music speaks for me and helps me understand what I'm feeling.
Is there a particular reason you like that genre?
I don't know, I guess it resonates with me as a person and I enjoy listening
really nice.
to it.
So like the lyrics or the beat of the music?
I just enjoy listening to it.
John Sloboda states on pages 215 and 216 of his 2005 book, Exploring the Musical Mind, that he conducted a survey in 1992, finding two common themes amongst 67 regular listeners, themes that shared similarities with the research conducted in the Random Opportunity Survey. The first theme displayed how music could be used as a change agent in which it aided individuals to move from undesirable psychological states such as stress, anxiousness, sadness, or anger to a psychological state that was more desirable. Statements from the regular listeners involved, like "music relaxes me when I am tense or anxious," mirrored the answers of those in the Random Opportunity Survey, stating, "Music helps me to relax when I am stressed and helps me better my mood." This demonstrates how music is not just for recreational pleasure, but also as a form of self-administered therapy, as Sloboda writes. Sloboda's second theme revealed that music was used to promote, quote, "the intensification or release of existing emotions," end quote, a statement supported by the comments from individuals in the 1992 survey. Like this one, quote, "Music helps me discover what I am actually feeling," end quote. This comment shares many similarities with the recently conducted random opportunity samples where similar comments are made. As evidenced by this, music in use might be compared to the use of substances such as alcohol, where its purpose is to exaggerate emotion, albeit in a more subtle and arguably less damaging way than alcohol. In fact, Peretz and Zator stated in their book that, quote, "high musical involvement is not associated with dereliction or poor survival, such as the case for alcohol," end quote, which can be lethal in high dosages. This, coupled with how potent music is at affecting mood in group settings, lends itself to the argument for music's revolutionary history, as it helps strengthen social bonds within a group through communal participation and congregation. There is evidence that music is an intrinsic link to our survival and something that the brain finds pleasure in indulging, much like we do with sugars and fats now. But its use has also suggested an increase to social capabilities such as emotional awareness. A study comparing the disorders of Williams syndrome and Asperger-type autism sufferers show that those suffering from Williams syndrome have highly musical characteristics and highly social characteristics as well. The latter, Asperger syndrome sufferers, display the opposite, implying music has a social role. This study provided in Peretz and Zator's The Cognitive Neuroscience of Music uses work Daniel Levitin had done with Ursula Belugi, where they described the musical activities of Williams syndrome children at a summer camp in New York State. It is stated that Williams syndrome sufferers clearly relish both the musical activities and the social environment in which their musical enthusiasms can flower. On the other hand, when analysing one individual suffering from Asperger syndrome, Temple Grandin, a woman well known through her writings on the condition, it is stated that she finds the music leaves her cold, which suggests the music does not evoke an emotional response from her personal experience. It is notable that those suffering from Asperger syndrome and other behavioural disorders like it suffer an emotional deficit which details, as stated by Peretz and Zator in their book, The Cognitive Neuroscience of Music, a failure to develop the so-called secondary or social emotions, including shame, pride, guilt, love, and empathy. When taking this into consideration, one could argue the case that secondary emotions and development at an early age is fundamentally linked with musical empathy and understanding, and therefore a person's ability to have a musical preference. As a person with Asperger syndrome myself, I can say that music has helped me to connect with my emotions in a way I wouldn't have otherwise had the ability to. From my own personal experience, I use music every day and my emotions are reflected by the music I choose to listen to. Where Sloboda writes how music is used to make existing emotions more intense, I use music for this reason, as depending on the music I choose, it helps me find how I feel specifically, which, without the aid of music, would have been extremely difficult to understand on my own. For example, if I feel melancholy but need to continue my day without dwelling on the events that have made me feel this way, the song I go to is Hello My Old Heart by the Oh Hellos. Hello My Old Heart is a folk song that has a subdued character in the first half and focuses on an accompanying acoustic guitar to poetic lyrics that I have interpreted as trying to protect your emotional centre from events that might harm it. If, however, you lock your emotions away, you will never be able to feel anything again but a numbness. So the best thing to do is to set them free so that you can live a full life. It's better not to dwell in emotions that are affecting you negatively in the present, but to let them go so you can look forward to the better ones coming. The song's contour follows this curve, when it becomes a hand-clapping, foot-stomping greeting to your old heart who has started beating again, has started to live again in the second half. Listening to this song is a cathartic practice for when I experience this kind of emotion. For another emotion, such as stress and anger, I often turn to music from bands like Tool and Disturbed, two famous heavy rock bands, whose music moves in a way that helps me to release the stress of being angry and pour it into the music. It also has another effect of exciting me, and I often find I have more energy after listening to songs like Vicarious or Immortalized. As evidenced by my interpretation of Hello My Old Heart, music is a very subjective topic, and someone else may interpret it in a separate way to how another individual does, such as a relationship's end or just another folk song in this song's case. The reason for this is because musical characteristics have direct effects on emotions, which in turn are subjective to every person. Structure, tonality, pitch, rhythm, and lyrical content each provoke a reaction from the subconscious, a part of the mind which is not fully aware but influences one's actions and feelings, as evidenced by my experience with the song Hello My Old Heart. On pages 220 and 221 of Exploring the Musical Mind, Sloboda presents a table with examples of musical and emotional links. For instance, a serious and solemn emotion is related to music which is slow and low-pitched in nature, with regular rhythms and an emphasis on low dissonance. Comparably, a sad emotion is experienced by a listener when the musical characteristics also have a slow and low-pitched nature, however maintain a minor mode and stress high dissonance, which is fascinatingly akin to the sound a person makes when crying, enforcing the point made earlier about music's empathetic nature. As technology continues to advance and adapt, it gives little in the way of brevity for us to catch up. But with music continuously healing our mental wounds and keeping us in calmer states of mind, it allows the process to be a little easier. This research aimed to understand what the reasons were behind individual preferences in music, in order to garner an educated understanding of how to keep a more positive mental environment in a world where everything battles for your attention. Based on qualitative research data analysing the differing uses for music, it can be concluded that there is a parallel between music and positive mental health, memory, and emotional development. The results indicate that music has a positive effect on mental health as a memory preserver, a controller for emotion, a social identifier, as well as a pleasurable relaxant. The relationship between music and the positive mental environment it makes for us cannot be underestimated. By teaching us how to be more in tune with our mental and emotional well-being, music also helps us consider our empathy for others. When used in protest, it can break down societal barriers, as we saw with punk. It can even rekindle the memories of minds worn down with age so that those individuals can feel human again. Music has affected us so much that the songs we listen to become a part of our individual and cultural identities and relate to us on a personal level. Sometimes, in order to find a way to heal what can't be healed with normal pills or surgery, we must keep an open mind and see the possibilities of what a simple tune can do for our benefit and the benefit of those around us. To better understand the implications of these results, future studies could address the key issues behind the rise of mental health disorders and dive deeper into the treatment of them, the goal being to stop them indefinitely.